Does it not matter?
It don't matter. No, my IG, can go live on IG.
All right, 32.
Just let me know when we're live for YouTube. Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Learn, Grow, Invest meeting. I'm Jermaine, CEO and co-founder for Learn, Grow, Invest. So you're joining us live from our monthly meeting here at VM Group Halfway Tree. So we thank them for allowing us this space to have our meetings. So today we have a special guest. You're seeing him sitting right across from me. That's Adrian Smith from Dequity. So we're going to be hearing from Adrian in a few moments. That's customary for us. We're going to open with a word of prayer. So let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this day and for the ability to meet like this to discuss, investing, the plans that you have for us, and just to fellowship. So Lord, we pray that this will be a meaningful session, that everyone who is watching will be enriched and that we learn a lot. We thank you again in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So I wish you all could see, the group here. It's a full house, right? So can we get like a round of applause so they can hear just, There we go. There we go. I like that. So it should sound like it's like 500 people. So if you're not here, you're really missing out. But this is our first time streaming our monthly meeting to YouTube. So I hope that you find it, valuable. And we thought it'd be a great opportunity to just combine one of our episodes of CEO series into the session. So Adrian was willing to give us that opportunity. So we're grateful. So come on. Thank you. All right. So what we'll do for a CEO series, we typically just, try to understand a little bit about the CEO himself and the company, right? So we're hoping to learn a little bit about Adrian, find out about his history, and also learn about Dequity. All right, so Adrian, we're going to start there. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
First of all, thanks for having me. In front of the camera is not my specialty. One thing about Dequity is that we like to do things in the background.
Okay.
Get things done there, but I guess every now and then we are thrown into the spotlight. So if you see me a little nervous.
No, man, that's fine. The secret is I'm nervous every time I'm in front of the camera too. It takes me like a few minutes to ease into it. Yeah. That's fine. I hear my wife saying to me, just make sure you hold the mic to your mouth.
Oh, sorry.
And I hear her saying it to me. So that's the thing that I focus on. Yeah. And then once I do that, I'm like, well, the rest will just come, right? So, yep.
All right. So about me, proud L.E.A.R.N.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we'll start there.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'll start with my prep school, but.
All right. Okay. All right.
Proud L.E.A.R.N. Graduate of the University of Tampa. Investing, when I went to school, investing or finance wasn't my thing. I was all about math. I love numbers, calculus, all of that madness, differential equations. I actually thought at one point in time that I wanted to be a rocket scientist, just because I thought it would get me girls. And
that's not the right subject, I think, for girls. I don't know.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Okay.
But then, throughout school, numbers became finance, and finance became a passion.
Okay.
My dad one time gave me $200 and said, if I can turn that 200 to $350 by the end of the semester, he'd match it. And that was my only goal. All semester long, and luckily at that time Facebook had just gone through some restructuring and it shot up. It went from like $30 to like $40 something in like 2 weeks, and I was
okay.
I'm here, send my money please. But that was how I fell in love with finance.
Yeah.
Came home, went to many different institutions. I've been a trader, I've been a salesperson, I've ran commercial marketing, I've managed high network clients' portfolios, some of the more wealthy people in Jamaica. I mean, I never saw zeros like that before in my life. But I've had a wholesome experience in finance, and through that experience and through just helping individuals along the way, I met Kadeen, the founder of Dequity, a couple years back, and we always had a good friendship. We always spoke about things, and I remember when he mentioned Dequity to me, this had to be like, at that point in time, would have just have been a flicker in his eye. Like he'd never really, I don't think he really had a plan at that point, or that's what I thought. Only to find out later on that he always had a master plan.
Kadeen's plans have plans.
Always, but he only lets out what he needs to let out. So we spoke about it many years ago, and then COVID happened, and at that time I was at NCB Cap and just had a daughter, thinking about the future, how is it going to go, and being the salesman he came to me with this grand plan, and we can take over the world, and let's do it for months. And I was just like, Adina, daughter just born, she can't walk, the boy, to leave big NCB to go take up something now that don't really have much going on yet or anything like that. I said, no man, we can do it, me and you can do this. Went home, spoke to my partner, spoke to my father, who's never been a man that took risks. He's always been a corporate person, went up the corporate ladder the right way, all of that. So when I spoke to him about, boy, I left NCB Cap, and he's also on the board of NCB Cap. I said, boy, I'm done with you, I'm leaving you, and I gotta go take on this thing. And we sat down. I remember that Sunday afternoon, I spoke about everything, and said that he never took a chance. And one of the things that he kind of regretted was that he never took a chance. And so he was very encouraging, and then the family became encouraging. And my friends, they're always encouraging. So the unit behind you, is really what gave me the strength.
Yeah.
And when we came over, and we've just been going.
Yeah.
First it was myself, Kadeen, and Kira. And then we just slowly started to build out the team, and it's going to grow.
Do you remember that very first client that you would have had when he started?
My very first client, when I started in my portfolio, or at Dequity?
At Dequity.
Oh, that would be Dr. Nepal. Dr. Nepal is the principal owner of the hospital that we own, Royal Medical.
Mm-hmm.
I would have met him at one of my I would have seen his name at one of my previous jobs. Never really spoke to him before. But when I got there, we began the conversations about buying into Royal. And at that point in time, they're just like, hey, you need to go talk to Doc. Royal is in Sav.
Yeah.
This was maybe day 2 or 3. Get in a car, drive down to Sav. I have no idea where we're going. I really love that Google Maps really works in Jamaica now.
Listen, Google Maps works for you, but twice now. So true story. Just 2 weeks ago, I'm driving up somewhere. So my wife wanted to surprise me for my birthday. We're hitting the location in Google Maps. We go up a trail. Short version of the story, the trail ends and we are around the mountain from where we want to go. So Google Maps have us we drove for hours straight to end up across the street or just behind the road from where we want to go. So Google Maps.
Yeah, I think you might need
teach me how to use Google Maps. No, so you enter the location. You take and all of that, you take the quickest route, and then you just isn't that as simple as it is? Right. Okay.
Yeah. So made a drive, walked in, met with Dr. Nepal and his wife. Basically sat down, made our pitch about what it is that we can bring to the table, and that just kickstarted everything. After that, it was just constantly going to where we are right now, where my CFO can tell you sleeping. I didn't want to say it's a concept. The best
Sleep
thing
is
I
a
did
concept.
recently was that last week was my birthday, and we took a trip to Dumrep. I'm not sure if you've been to Dumrep, but there's no roaming in Dumrep.
Ah,
That was the most peace I've had
wow.
in the past 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but the whole time still thinking, still planning, still strategizing about how we can, help the company, move the company along.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. So for someone who has never heard about Dequity before, can you introduce Dequity?
Dequity is a regional investment firm. We focus mainly on private equity. There is some public equity. Usually, we have the company private first and then bring it public, but that's that we can speak about later. But it's an investment firm where we manage our shareholders' interests. We look for the right opportunities where we can find growth not only for Dequity but mainly for the portfolio companies. At Dequity, we really concentrate a lot on the entrepreneurs, the managers. Those are the backbone, those are the drivers of the companies. That's why when I said what I said earlier about being support in the background, is that we help
Yeah.
them in many different ways. Kevin, our CFO, he's the numbers guy. He's the one that basically goes in and just fixes all of their accounting issues. And if you know anything about Jamaican companies, every single one.
There's always some accounting issue.
Always have an accounting issue. I've seen it from big companies to small companies. There's always some kind of accounting issue. Or we help with marketing or legal or just, whatever it is. If they need me to come down there and move some chairs, I'm not going to lie to you, I'll probably end up.
Yeah.
The whole entire thing is how can we enrich or empower our entrepreneurs to make our portfolio companies better, because Dequity only make money for portfolio companies are successful.
Yeah.
So we really put a lot of energy and time in helping the team.
So somebody can, so let's say an entrepreneur comes to you, and so the question that I'm asking, I'll tell you why I'm asking it before I ask it. How do you identify clients? Is it a particular stage of their business? So let's say that L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest is looking for some capital right now. Would we be a fit for Dequity based on what you look for? Or is it that you're looking for entrepreneurs maybe at a certain stage that you can take them to that next step, or
Anybody
help
else
us
feel
to
like Jermaine
understand?
asking for some money right now?
Listen,
kinda get
those
that.
who know me, I'm always asking for money.
Yeah, I get
Always asking for money.
It's multi-tiered. Like there's different ways, there's different reasons why we take on a certain project and not take on another project. We do look for companies in a growing stage. That's where we think that we are most beneficial to companies, where, if it is that we look and we say, all right, well, to help out L.E.A.R.N grow, we need to, you have this big plan about wanting to set up something similar in Trinidad or whatever.
We actually do. Yep, we actually do.
Always asking for money. but if that's what it is, we really think that we can assist there. We would look into it, we'll discuss and we'll talk about how it is that we can participate. We don't take the approach of other private equity firms who may want to come in and run the company. We typically take an associate stake, and as an associate shareholder, we really only want to support.
Okay. So what would we need to do? Okay, so what would we need to do in terms of, so the company now, so I know that I need capital, and I say, well, Dequity, I'm interested. Is it that you say, well, what are the things that the company would need to prepare for you to work with them?
We go through a proper due diligence. We look at the financials of the company, the business plan, the growth strategy, everything. We do a comprehensive.
So that process would normally take a couple of months?
The quickest we've ever done one would be about 3 months thereabout. But ideally, I would say for it to go through all the thoroughness that we want to go through and be as granular as possible, probably 6 months.
Okay.
There's always going to be the back and forth. when we do our analysis of the company, we might say, boy, L.E.A.R.N grow only worth $5. And you might say, boss, my thing's $100 business.
Yeah, man, we're at least $100, stock split, and then we go back down to $5.
I mean, if you're selling,
Anyway,
give me 20% for $5 a year right now, but
Okay.
but that's how we look at it. So, and there's always going to have to be a give and take.
Yeah.
But what we really sell is that we are coming on board to be a partner.
Okay.
So it doesn't benefit anybody for us to use up all of our capital unless we're injecting it into the business. And that's typically how we like to do our investments.
Okay. One sec, Adrian. Guys at the back, are you able to hear us okay?
No?
Oh, one person said no, one person said yes.
Okay, I'll try to speak. I'll try to speak louder. Yeah, man.
So it's kind of on and off. Well, we didn't want to say turn down the AC because of that.
Oh boy.
That's okay now. But we don't want it to sweat. No, man, turn it back on, please.
No, man,
Just project both of us. Okay, all right. I just wanted to check there. So and I'm assuming that persons are hearing us on the stream. If not, just let us know. Oh yeah, man, that's fine. Okay. All right. Yeah. So we just wanted to be sure that you could hear us fine. So just tell us if you're not able to, and we'll try to project a little more. All right. All right. Cool. So yeah. So you're saying it may take 3 to 6 months, depending on the stage of the company, the due diligence that you need to do. Is there any reason why you may turn away a potential client?
We have some very high hurdle rates that we want to achieve at Dequity. We do have shareholders who expect a certain level of return on their investment. So it really comes down to the growth plan. If we think that the company really has somewhere to go or somewhere that we can benefit it to really extrapolate something, then yes, we will participate.
Okay.
But some companies are, maybe they're, as I said, depends on where they are in the growth stage. Maybe it's a little bit too early for us to come on board. So we try to assist them in terms of debt. Maybe it is a situation where we say, all right, here we go. We'll give you some debt, whatever percentage it may be. And then if it is that they're able to knock off some targets that we may set for them, then we can probably convert that debt into some equity. We can revisit the conversation altogether. But we really try to support. We don't really try to turn away anybody once we think that there is a...
So it's really more a matter of, you may not be ideal for us right now, but if things change, we'll be open to it. It's never close the door completely.
Right. If we had a blank check, most of the companies that we've looked at so far, we would participate with. The only thing is that, like everybody else, we have finite resources. So we can only take on what best fits what we are trying to do right now. But as we get bigger, we will be taking on more. Which pisses off most of my team because, they're tired. But as we grow,
the team will grow as well. So the work now can be shared between the persons who are there. So I actually wanted to talk about the team as well. So in terms of team size, roles, what does that look like? How many members of the team you have now, and so on.
At Dequity right now, we have 8 people, 6, 7, 8 people. Most of the heavy lifting falls on myself, the founder, our CFO, and our legal officer, and our marketing officer. She's been thrown into something that I don't think she really knows what she signed up for. But, with having 7 and 8 different companies, she definitely has a lot on her plate as well. But it really is an 8-man team that is trying to manage a lot. And as I said, we're growing. I started 3 years ago, and it was 3 of us. And we're here.
Yeah, now. So there's been some growth already.
We have some more people coming on within the next 2 months. Thereabouts.
Great. So there's a job opening. You hear that, guys? Some more persons coming on in the next few months. So what I'd be doing, and I do this all the time, I say it openly. If there's a company I'm interested in, especially if there's a company that I like, plus that company could potentially list, and we'll talk about that later on. in my mind, I'm saying, well, I wonder if this company will offer shares to its employees should they list. If there's a role for me, I think that works, right?
I mean,
Just saying.
hey, if you can move the bottom line,
There you go.
you know,
There you go. And I
we'll
can.
look
I
at
mean,
it.
we can. LGI can run social media campaigns for you and assist the marketing team.
We can do
all.
a job interview without everybody here, so I can
There you
ask you all the hard questions.
So what I'll ask you next is you mentioned briefly about what makes Dequity unique in its market. So I wanted you to kind of drill down on it a little bit more. Who would you compare yourself to without kind of singling out anybody?
Compare yourself. One of our shareholders has a very affectionate name for Kadeen, calls him Baby Buffett. So if I was supposed to compare what it is we're all trying to achieve at Dequity, it would be Berkshire. Yeah, that would be where we want to be in 2 years. God willing, but more than likely. But that's where we're aiming to be, something like a Berkshire, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
But as you mentioned, as I said earlier, it's really about the entrepreneurs. That's what separates us, I think, from a lot of private equity firms, especially in the region. Most private equity firms tend to go in and try to take control. They try to put their influence and their mark on what they think a company should look like, while we encourage and try to uplift our entrepreneurs. And
you want them to remain true to who they are, and not necessarily just try to get to a certain profit target by a certain point so that you can exit.
But we get there with your vision.
Yeah.
If it is that, we can work together and come up with some new things or whatever it may be, then fine. But we're not coming in to take over your business. We're not coming in to impress upon you what we believe is the right way to do it. When we had our initial conversation, it would be, what do you see for LGI? Yeah. And then you let me know from what you see from LGI, and then I will then bring that back to the team and be like, this is where you want to go with it.
Okay. All right. So we did see, so you have some companies that you said you're working with now. Give us an overview of the industries you're working with. And is there any client that, so you said the plan may or may not be for that client. For example, if let's say that they have a goal of listing on the stock exchange, what would so let me actually ask only one question here. What are some of the industries that you're in right now in terms of clients?
Industry, we're in finance, real estate, education. What else are we in? Healthcare. I think that really covers it.
Are you able to name any companies? Is that allowed?
We have an associate stake in Royal Medical Company. As I mentioned earlier, we own 40% there. Johnson Development Group. That's the development company that's doing the Cardinal Apartments on Graham Heights. We own 20% there. M24 is our Cambia. We own that 100%.
So M24 will list one day? I had to ask.
Everything is on the table. At some point in time, the plans that we do have for M24 is going to take some funding. And who knows?
Yeah, I can think of a few companies that M24 could probably just acquire, just get bigger, and
There's a lot of plans for M24, just like any of our portfolio companies, where we're always thinking how to grow the company.
Yeah.
We're always thinking whether it's merger and acquisitions, whether it's organic growth. Is it just that they need to open up another shop in Mobay, or they need to come Kingston, or is it that we need to go to Trinidad, or is it that we need to scrap that whole? We're always thinking of how we can help the company grow. So we have some plans and we have some ideas that are being fleshed out now. If I had to give you a secret, I would say that within the next 3 to 6 months, you might see a notification of something going on with M24. in a very
Sounds
positive light. Yeah.
Sounds good. So you're naming the companies. You named 3.
Right.
Well, who are the rest?
So we have basically our REIT, we call it Real Estate Acquisition Limited. We're not very creative with names, just so that we just let you know what it is we do. That's basically our REIT where, we're going around right now owning different entities, properties. We have some apartments, all of that by early Q1 next year. So we should be doing fine there. But I create, we
Anybody knows I Create? You guys heard of that company? Never heard about it? I see somebody shaking their head. Never heard about I Create. Is there anyone here who's never heard about I Create?
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe you, Matthew. Let's move on. Continue.
Right. Let's see.
Congrats, by the way, for I Create. I saw 2,900. It was a very specific number. I thought it was very interesting.
2975. I even remember 2,900.
2,900 and something 0.24 or something like that growth. I thought that was very, very interesting to list.
Yeah.
Great growth for the company. So congratulations there.
Every single, I wanted to say
Yeah, man. Every single ounce of growth. Yeah, man.
They did well. And they're rebranding themselves.
Yep. Yep.
To speak to Tyrone today, talking about one thing, and talk to him tomorrow, I'm talking about something else. So I'm very encouraged.
Yeah, man. Tyrone has a very big vision. And the good thing is you see him executing on that vision. So it's not like he's talking, you're not seeing anything. You're seeing some things, and he's clearly trying to change the image of the company. So yeah, man, great job there.
For sure, great job there. Try to company that I leave off. Miracle. That's our gaming company. We have Dollar, which is our creme de la creme.
Anybody heard about Dollar Financial?
I've just found out.
Never heard about it.
You know what? Dollar,
Is there any insight you can give us to that? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, by the way.
let me see what I can do without getting myself in any trouble.
Hold on, before you say anything, just give Kevin a look. No or yes, no. Kevin said no.
That's what I'm not looking
Yeah,
at.
I don't want you to get in trouble. So what we'll do when the live ends, you'll tell us something whenever.
Yeah, so we have Dollar Financial, everything that they're doing in Guyana now, definitely looking at other territories across the region. No, business model is very simple.
There should be a dollar in every country.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's a very simple business model. Lend money and collect it back.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And that is spearheaded by Kadeen. And he's doing a great job there as well. So, as I said, one thing we tend to do is that we try to support our entrepreneurs. That's why I mentioned Kadeen, Tyrone, Dr. Nepal from Royal. Dr. Nepal, no, I would have mentioned 2 younger entrepreneurs in Tyrone and Kadeen. They're mid-30s, they're both. Dr. Nepal is a 65, 66-year-old doctor from Sav, who brought us in to really help him. He does have a son who is a doctor as well, but he's overseas. So he started to think about the next stage of his retirement, and he just doesn't want.
So he wants to put things in place before.
He doesn't want this entity that he spent the last 26 years,
Yep.
building and growing and becoming this mainstay in Sav to just disappear because he wants to move on.
It's always a good thing, I think, when a founder sets plans for the company to exist after him.
Correct.
Right? Because even for me, I'm already thinking about the next step for LGI. Not planning to move away anytime soon, but in my mind, I'm building it so that my son can take it over, kind of thing.
And that's exactly. I think
he better wants to take it over because we're gonna have to have a long talk.
Why
Right?
don't you want to be an accountant?
No, he doesn't want to be anything else but what Dad wants him to be. Right? I don't mean that, guys. Please, right? I know Renee is watching. Renee, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, but no. So it's just really about. That's where we find a lot of opportunities where the succession plan.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised how many mom and pop shops that are very successful that the kids want nothing to do with it. You know, the kids have all become their own professionals in their own way, you know, lawyers, doctors, some not here, some in Canada, some in America, whatever it is. And, you know, mom and dad have spent the last 20, 30 years building up this entity. So there's
So
opportunity.
I can speak from personal experience here.
You walked away.
The reason why I walk away is simple. I had ideas for the business. My father wasn't hearing it. I'm like, well, if we can't build the business together, then clearly you don't need me. You raised me. You raised me to be a manager and a leader, and you want me to listen to what you say. You need to hear what I say.
There's always a middle ground, you know. There
There-
was a middle ground, you know. You could have shown him one thing, because you probably came at him with 10 things. You could
No.
have shown him one thing and show him how successful that would have been. And
So I'll tell you a very brief story. I went to so my father does everything by pen and paper, right? Good business. I took it upon myself once to implement a point of sale system. So I got the software, I brought the computer in. I'm there entering items of inventory for weeks, you know. Wrong move, right? And now I'm ready to implement this thing. I was like, that's nice. Just like it in like a week, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on. Right. So to this day, he still uses pen and paper to keep records. I'm like, I don't know how that works. Right.
I mean, it's been working for him. Sometimes
so.
it's difficult for them to break certain things, but once again, you know, at some point in time, he's going to realize his mortality. At some point in time, he's going to realize that he wants to do something else. Maybe he just wants to sleep, whatever it may be. I can tell you that's the reason why my father died. He just wanted to sleep. But it will happen. You know? And then at that point in time, you know, does Jermaine go back? You know, now that he's built LGI, Dequity has bought 40%.
Okay. You see, commitment on camera. All right. So by the way, LGI is worth at least 50 million.
See there? See there?
It's gonna be 20 million. So you guys heard it here first, exclusive. All right.
Yeah,
I want my interview on Limitless podcast now for that. All right. Cool.
But so that's what you know. So what will happen then? You know.
Yeah.
And that's just one avenue that we take. You know, we do have a network of friends, family, you know, people that we've met who either have an idea or have a business, and we'll see how we can support them.
Okay. So we saw news lately of a partnership with Mayberry. Can you tell us about that? What's the plan in terms of that partnership?
Well,
I'll just say that when I saw that, I was like, IPO coming.
Yeah, so you see, that's your problem.
I'm just saying, right?
You always want to hear
Mayberry is known to probably list the most companies ever on the junior market.
They're definitely one of the best.
There's like 80% of the companies on the junior market was by Mayberry. So when I say deal with Mayberry, I'm saying IPO in 6 to 12 months.
We have a pipeline of transactions that exceed 25 million US. Our shareholders,
it was for Dequity.
Our shareholders only have so much money. You understand? So we have gotten to a point where we've outgrown our shareholders' pockets, or we don't want to pressure them anymore, and we have to look for funding elsewhere. And you know, that's where the conversation with Mayberry came up, and through that partnership, they're actually helping us to close a transaction for Royal. We are in the process of buying Winchester Surgical Medical Institute right there on Winchester Road, and that's going to be Royal's extension to leave South. Well, not to leave South, to add Kingston to their portfolio.
Okay.
So Royal itself will be buying out Winchester 100%.
So we'll be seeing one more medical company on the stock exchange.
And then after that, we're going to create a Royal Medical group of companies, and then
listing. Guys, I have to ask the questions, and I hope you're seeing the answers that are not answers, right?
I'll say at some point in time, everything is always on the table.
Okay. So that means it's for, I guess, funding and strategic purposes. Correct. This partnership with Mayberry,
and they've been very helpful along the way. at some point in time, we're going to be doing a raise for Dequity itself, where we don't just have to always go to them for each of individual transaction we're looking to do. Because as I mentioned, we have at least 5 right now that if I had to check, we could close. So that is something that we're looking to do right away, and we're going to get there. And
what would be Dequity's preference for raising those funds?
Right now, we are in a position of where we're going to be doing a bond.
Okay.
All right. We're going to,
is it a bond IPO?
it's going to be a bond. It's going to be a bond. It's going to be a note. You can call it whatever word you want to use. But yeah.
Okay. Will it be a public or maybe private?
It's going to be a private.
Okay.
It's going to be a private placement.
Okay. Is there anything? Okay. I won't ask. So, so since you mentioned private, are there any plans at some point? So I know you said that nothing is off the table, but what we would want to understand, and the reason why I'm asking this is simple: we are retail investors here, right? So if we see a company that is doing well, it's a company that we might be interested in, what's our path to potentially investing in that company? Because I don't know if I can just reach out to you and say, well, I have $10,000 I'd like to invest, maybe grow it 300% in 3 months, or get some dividends. Can we approach Dequity in that way?
Did you just say 300%?
300%. I'm being conservative.
Cool. If that was possible with us, I wouldn't be here. I'd still be at work. But no. I didn't want to call any names, so that's why I bit my tongue. But no. So, is there a possibility for IPO? I would be a liar if I was supposed to say
no.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
But right now, we're focused on raising the bond, getting that funding in. When it is that we do get to a point where we may consider an IPO, our company would be so attractive to the market. I think that is, or I know that's my goal for the company right now, is to make it that attractive that if and when we do need to consider going down that road, as you mentioned, you'd have seen everything that will be going on with the company.
You're seeking to raise with the bond? Is that something you're allowed to share?
I don't want to call a number now, to be fair, because we have an idea. It's something I'm going to work towards, but it's going to be a significant number.
But Mayberry is handling the transaction for you.
Mayberry will be helping us facilitate that transaction. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in terms of the future, right? Because you mentioned some of the things that you may be doing in the short term. What would Dequity look like, 5 years from now?
Well, in the true essence of being a private equity firm, Dequity wants to take the opportunity that we get when we buy into these companies, get them to a certain level and list companies. So far, we've listed $1 or been a part of the team that listed $1. And we would definitely aim, or our aim is to list 1 to 2 of our portfolio companies per year. So you can take that. All right. So
no taken. Yeah, but my eyes wide open now because I'm there doing some math. Okay.
That's a plan. We want to be a true private equity firm. We want to go in, buying at a valuation that we believe is appropriate, build the company up, get it to a certain level, and then sell. But when we're selling, it's not to sell our shares down. We want to get the company to a point where they're so dividend rich that we don't mind offloading. Maybe there might be a little bit debt on the books or whatever it may be, and then.
But it's at a reasonable position where it can provide value.
We're not looking to invest to sell out. So we're not going to buy 40% of LGI and then next year.
You hear that mention again? All right, I like
next
that.
Year
I like that.
We're down to 10%. That's not our goal.
Okay. All right. So in terms of so there are 2 companies I kind of want to zero in on. Now you're part of 2 companies now that are listed, right? There's Dollar Financial, then there's iCreate. Is there anything that you can share just in terms of just what you've seen from those companies since they've, listed, and what do you expect to, continue to see from them?
All right, let me start with dollar. What I've seen from not only Kadeen but board members, committee members, is that from they've listed dollar, they've just been thinking, wow, let's do it again. Let's get bigger. Which is where Ultra Financier came in. That's where they're always looking around the region about putting a dollar here, a dollar there. I think they're very motivated to grow the company beyond whatever they thought it could have been 5 years ago. 5 years ago, to think that dollar could aim to do 300 million in profit would have been laughable. And now, if I was supposed to tell Kadeen, 300 million, I'm going to say, yeah, well, we're going go for 5. Or we're going go for, he's always going to push. He's never okay with being here. He's always going to push. With I-Create, as you mentioned earlier, with Tyrone, always, he's transitioning that company from just an education company to something that, everybody in the background calling like I-Create group of companies, things like that. But he has a drive in him now that it's inspiring to see. I mean, he's dedicated to making I-Create successful. Not a lot of entrepreneurs could have gone through what he did and hold the faith, hold the ground, and actually try to push and go through and bring the company to where it's at right now. So, I mean, it's admirable.
Yeah.
And I really like to see that in the entrepreneurs, which I said to you, like, really and truly, our investment is really in the entrepreneurs, because we see how much they can drive the company. Yeah, you can buy Toyota stock and whatever. But I mean, I don't know. Last time I don't see that man on the road selling it. No, if you buck up Kadeen on the road and you ask him anything about a loan, the man will immediately say, yeah, you can get it. Call me tomorrow, 2-2. And he put it on to the team and he'll help you to get that done. So that's similar with Tyrone, it's just that drive from them. It's really, I've never had the entrepreneurial spirit. As I said, I saw my dad climb the corporate ladder, whatever, marketing manager, so on and so forth, till he got to wherever he went. But I started investing and started looking into buying these companies, getting to meet different CEOs, different owners. It's just been remarkable to hear their stories, what they've gone through. And I mean, I love it. I love that part of it. I love helping entrepreneurs see something in that they didn't know that was there, and they know that whenever they get to realize that, they want more. They always want more.
So I'm going to ask you, we're going to ask you to help us think like how I guess a CEO of Dequity would think, right? So we're all investors in the stock market here. And the dilemma is always which companies, so we may have multiple opportunities in front of us. How do we select, or what things do you look for to have, I guess, an appreciation of that this company has a potential for great profit? Like, what are the things you may use to narrow that down? Are we talking profit specifically in like stock price appreciation? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I am no longer a licensed financial advisor, so take it for whatever you want. I'm not here to tell anybody to go buy any particular stock.
And certainly I'm not either. So, right.
But one thing that has steered me well with my investments over the years has been, I invest in what I know. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's basic, but I invest in what I know. I don't, as I said, when the story about me investing in Facebook, that was the time when Facebook you could only get with a university email address.
Wow.
So I'm talking about the beginning. So this is, and I was just like, this is something I know, and I never know nothing about Facebook, but it was something that everybody around us was using. So it's as simple as that. I don't shop on Amazon, but partner does a lot. So Scotia tell me. But simple. I don't do it, but I see people use it. I don't have an iPhone,
Yeah.
but I'm sure 70% of the people in here have an iPhone. I invest in what I know and what I see. If it is that there's something that you are considering investing, my only advice is to look into it. Talk to the people, talk to your advisor. Read about the company. I mean,
watch the LGI stock review.
There's a lot of
things like that.
information there's a lot more information out there today, especially for local stocks, than there was when I just started managing. When I started managing portfolios, 7-8 years ago, outside of an annual report, if you never know somebody at a company, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing going on.
So it would be like investing in the dark, pretty much.
Exactly. It really was. The stock prices used to move whenever the reports would come out, whenever the quarter reports would come out, because you just didn't really know what's going on unless a company made an announcement in the newspaper, we're buying such and such, and all of a sudden. But you didn't really know. But now, information is king. It's out there.
I actually feel like companies still don't share enough information.
There's still a lot more to get.
Because I want an update every month.
Well,
I want an update every month. I think a publicly listed company should have something to tell me once per month.
And then once a month?
Once a month, minimum. Wow. And the earnings call every quarter.
Quarter?
It's called quarterly earnings. We need a earnings. We need an earnings call every quarter.
That is probably something I can see that being the direction that the stock exchange will.
So I would love to see the stock exchange say to every company it's mandatory to the earnings calls.
I think that is something that we can. Dr. Street,
and just give all the business to LGI.
Well, that is. Hey, that's between you and them. Yeah. I've spoken to Dr. Street before, and I know she has some big plans for the stock exchange, and I know. Transparency and being timely with reports is one of the key things that she definitely would love all the companies to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something.
Man, just have her call me.
Have her ear like that. So please, sir, please don't get me in any trouble. But that's something. But monthly, hear what I said. As I said to you, invest in what you know. You know people that work at Scotia. You know people that work at NCB. Send them to go find out something.
So when I say every month, let me be clear, right? So maybe it's asking for too much, but there are some companies literally who don't report anything. You don't see them in the paper. I don't know who the CEO of the company is apart from the report. When I try to email, call, I can't find them. I'm not ranting, by the way. I'm just saying that this is the thing that we see as investors. And worse, I'm seeing movement in a company and I'm looking around like, I don't see anything. Like, what was announced? But nothing. So
you're saying that you're seeing the movement?
I'm seeing movement in a company when I haven't seen an interview by that CEO in 4 years. I don't know anything about the company. So what's moving? What's causing movement in that company?
I can speculate.
That sounds like pure speculation to me.
I can speculate with you, but that's once again just speculation. I have no idea.
Yeah.
A lot of these companies, they're one thing I've learned one thing I mentioned earlier. Entrepreneurs always want more. So it could be maybe it takes me 3 to 6 months to do a transaction. Maybe it takes that company 4 years. But once that transaction is complete, or maybe the movement start going, things start to move, or people start to get a whiff of something is happening, then maybe that's what's moving it. But once again, I don't know.
Well, so I understand that, right? So it could be. So I do see that as well sometimes, where I guess it may be more interesting to say, well, we'll share something when there's something meaningful to share. But there is still, I think, then even more context we can get for what is happening, because you are generating revenues daily. You are, making monies daily. Let us understand maybe a little bit more. So we made 2 million, but how did you make it? A lot of companies don't do like segment reporting and just giving us details into how they make money. If you made the 2 million, I don't know if 80% is from one of your subsidiaries and the other 20. Like, I don't know the business.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm saying, where I think if we had companies in the habit of communicating more, then we would know more about them. So like I know that we've seen a lot of announcements, for example, with Dollar in terms of partnerships that they're doing and how they're planning to expand. That helps me to understand and see where Dollar is headed. Um, those are the kind of things where so it appears to me at least that the companies who invest in marketing are the companies who invest in communication, and those are the ones that you'd know more about.
Well, as you mentioned, with things being they don't want to share until there's something meaningful to share. One thing Dequity has done, which no, I don't believe any other private equity firm in Jamaica has done, is that we published our financials.
I noticed that.
That's not,
I noticed
that's
that.
not a typical move. Like you ever try to get financials from a private company, and as a company, and I'm talking about companies that want to sell.
Yeah.
And I've said, all right, no problem. You say it worth $100. All right, show me a financial. Why you need to see my financial? Well, sir, I mean, but we really believe in being transparent.
Yeah.
We want to show where we're coming from, where we're going, and that's really I can only speak for us, and
Yeah.
it's something that we are going to encourage our portfolio companies to consider doing as well. But
Yeah.
it's really that's what we felt that we were at, and that we'd love. We have nothing to hide, so we want
Yeah.
everybody to be know where we're coming from.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So we're gonna see if there are any questions now. So we're on IG, YouTube. I don't know if we're on Telegram. It sounds like the stream was gone on IG. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate that. Any questions on YouTube?
Just yet.
Okay.
No questions just yet.
Okay. All right, cool. So as usual, are there any questions from the audience here, from our live studio audience?
So you mentioned about I used to like portfolio managers. You can hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you.
Yeah, but we can hear you, but just so those online can hear you.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you used to be like a portfolio manager. And you also mentioned that your investment philosophy, how you invest in what you know. Could you talk about maybe some of the companies that you like outside of some of your associated companies on the JSE? Because I assume you invest on the JSE.
All right, so here's the catch.
Let's see. Companies I like. See myself coughing over here.
Adrian, remember to.
Remember, as I said, of course, Oh, this dead? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I really stick to the financial sector, and manufacturing. When it comes to junior market companies that are not ours, outside of IPOs, I probably, I don't need to catch it always going up. I can wait until it reaches a certain level for me to then invest in that company. I'm a conservative investor, so I typically stick to main market, the bigger companies. That's where my investments are. But with our companies, I'll have a fair stake there as well. Yeah. I believe in our companies.
That says a lot, actually. Says a lot.
Can we say one thing?
Dollar Financial Services. Dollar. You can.
One that you might be like and why. Good.
Company on the main market I like and why. That I typically stick with the banks. One of the banks, the big one, the big bank, the big is one of the blues. One of the blues. I like them. And there is a company that distributes sodas. So those would be, a couple of the companies.
Okay,
that
I won't call any names.
yeah, and
I
I
won't
have
call
in
any
my
names.
portfolio. You know.
Those are very. We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah.
Talk about it off air.
Yeah.
So any other questions? All right. So what I'll do is close out by asking. So what type of, let's say that so let's do a big hypothetical here, right? Let's say that Dequity is listing, right? How would Dequity be introduced to investors, right? What would be some of the things we'd say in the prospectus for Dequity? Or how would so by the time you get to that point, what would be some of the milestones or some of the things you'd be saying about Dequity in that prospectus?
In our prospectus, we will highlight our portfolio. We will definitely shine to them because our financials are based upon their success. If we were supposed to be going down that road.
Yeah, man, all hypothetical.
But yeah, so it would really be about the portfolio companies. It would really be about, our plans. We do have, as I said, an aggressive founder. We currently have a company, Dequity USA.
I didn't know there's a Dequity USA. Tell us about Dequity USA.
I'm not going to say much right now. Let's just say that the company is maybe a day or two away from being completely registered and
listed on the NASDAQ. It's gonna be listed on the NASDAQ.
Well, you get the listing NASDAQ already.
I just asking.
No, we're not quite there. Oh, we're not quite there. We're not quite there yet. But that's what I mean by we're always thinking. We're always looking outside of the box.
Okay.
Funding in Jamaica is limited at times. Everybody.
Meaning there's not enough, or limited meaning it takes too long to get the capital.
Meaning everybody talks to the same person. So just like how investment opportunity might be there for me, there can be an investment opportunity for another firm or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Whoever it is that we're looking to get the money from, they now have to make a decision. And it's typically the same set of people or the same set of high net worth clients or the same financial institutions. And then even though they might like the project, as you said, they may have just given that person over there $3 billion. So you kind of have to wait until they re-up and things like that. So, but we're always looking for ways that we can make sure that at any point in time, our portfolio companies or at any point in time, we see an opportunity that we are able to act on it.
Yeah. That sounds like massive growth in the future though, because if there's a Dequity US and you mentioned earlier, I don't know if anybody kind of saw that kind of number snuck in there, 25 million. I remember that number, 25 million US. You heard it too, US. Okay, all right. So sounds like great growth in the future.
Definitely. Definitely the diaspora is a key key market for the region to grow. And they are, from our conversation, I mean, we can see it. Everybody knows that you have a friend or auntie over there that always want to come or want to send some money here, want to figure out a way how they can invest. And that's why we have the vehicle.
Amen.
The vehicle that we think would be best to capitalize on those opportunities.
So you're going to be providing persons from the diaspora an opportunity to invest in Jamaica through Dequity.
Correct. And the region.
I like that.
And the region.
I like that.
Latin. I mean,
yeah, you're keeping notes. I appreciate that.
I just said Trinidad, Carnival just finished. That's the only reason.
Okay. All right. So I think this was a very, insightful conversation. I think that we understand Dequity. We know what you're trying to do. I mean, it sounds like there are, things to look out for. So
there are definitely some things for us to look out for. We're not.
I was hoping for one special announcement. I mean,
today,
the Dequity team is here.
Call me. Event.
Next interview.
Call me eventually. I would definitely put you on to whenever it is we have one of our portfolio companies
Exclusive.
like I mentioned, that one
LGI exclusive.
We'll
Okay.
put you on to that CEO.
Okay. All right. I
that's
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. So thank you everyone for being a part of this session in our CEO series. So if you have any questions for Adrian or the Dequity team, leave it in the comments below the video and we'll get to it. Feel free to follow Dequity on all social media platforms. And I don't know if there's anything that you want to say to them in terms of how they can reach, if there's a potential investor or client out there, anything that you want to say.
As you mentioned, us all on all social media platforms, right? Dequity Group, IG, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
And same route if somebody's interested in getting investment.
If you're interested in any side of the equation, always feel free to reach out. We don't ignore, we look, we talk, we make the calls, we have the meetings, and if there's an opportunity, there's an opportunity.
Okay. All right, so I'll put it on record that I'll meet with the Dequity team and I'll let you know next month if we're getting any money or not, right?
We'll get scheduled years for like June.
June? Okay.
June.
All right.
Meeting, I don't know.
Oh. Hey man, because so just we can talk about it a little after, but we are, I think, trying to at least we see a great opportunity for investor relations, right? So we see the space needing a consistent source of information for investors, right? So that is one of the areas that we want to invest in. And so that's, if anything, for us in terms of expansion, that's where it is, right?
I have a question on YouTube.
Yeah, go ahead.
What assets can you use to finance your lifestyle?
Is sure that's for Dequity? That sounds like a ultra question or a dollar financial question.
I don't want to misspeak for dollar, but if that's, I kind of get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
It is any asset of value. They will have their evaluators look on the assets. So what it is that it's supposed to be not your typical one. So not your house, not your car, but maybe you have a boat or you have a
So I know
something like that.
So I know Ultra is specifically looking for a particular segment. So once you meet that segment, if you're not in that segment, then they would send you to dollar.
Right.
I would have met with Kadeen, and he pretty much said anything that would be considered valuable that can be at some point, I guess, liquidated just in case they need to get back that money.
Correct.
Is fair game. And he mentioned, things like even farm animals and other assets and stuff like that. So it sounds like once it's considered an asset, it's pretty much fair game. So hopefully that helps, Omar. Yeah, man. All right, cool. So, all right, we're going to end the YouTube stream now. So again, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out our other interviews in our CEO series. We do have some interesting interviews coming up. I won't share them just yet, but just, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and you'll see when the next video is coming out. So thank you for watching. We'll see you in the very next video.
Thank you.
All right.